Let's go. We're 3 minutes over.
Yeah, I'll turn it
Let's wait till the... There you go. Good evening. Today is Thursday, March 30th, 2017. This is the Board of Selectmen's meeting. We thankfully only have one agenda item this evening, and that's to finalize the annual town meeting warrant, review the selectmen statements, and basically vote the remaining recommendations, of which we only have a couple of articles, and then vote to close and execute the warrant. So we'll get started. The first one is Article 3, which is the fiscal year 2018 operating budget. I'm assuming that these are the final numbers.
These are the final numbers, Veronica, correct?
Unless something changes tonight.
Okay.
They are.
All right, so the various items here, we're going to be taking 75 grand from the cell tower fund to fund the budget. Another 75,000 transfer from the ambulance receipts reserve, which will be applied to the ambulance department budget. It's something we do typically every year. The sum of $45,444 from free cash, and the rest of it, which is the sum of $22,886,590, which will be raised by taxation. So, according to Nachka, these are the numbers, unless we change anything this evening. So, any questions, gentlemen? Okay, I'll take a motion to approve.
I'll move that.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. The next article we need to deal with is Article 21. This is, was brought before us by the ambulance department. This is a purchase of an SUV for $25,000. For those folks who were not a part of the advisory committee meeting on Tuesday or didn't tune in, originally this article was had a dollar amount of $40,000. We had a discussion, and actually there are two parts of the discussion. One is that they decreased the amount to $25,000, potentially the purchase of a used SUV. But part of the discussion was also the fact that we may have potentially some other alternative which we might be able to pursue between now and the time of the annual town meeting. So we'll leave this on here for now, and if that alternative solution comes to fruition, we might either do something with this article or pass over it. But for right now, it's down to $25K for the purchase of a used SUV, primarily to deal with certain situations when they need to tow portable lighting, or when they need to tow a piece of equipment called a gator, which is sort of an off-road little vehicle to get into spots where they can't get a car or SUV or a fire truck. Any questions?
No.
Okay, I'll take a motion to approve. All those, oh, I'm getting ahead of myself.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next up is Article 34. And just to give some background, this is the Article 34, which is the citizens petition for the purchase of the town common. Linda, as I just mentioned, we need to add the dollar amount to the title of that, which is the same as in 35. In a discussion that we had with advisory and the Bolton Conservation Trust this past Tuesday, it came to our attention that while the advisory committee, at least some members, were operating under the assumption that we were going to be, if this article passed, the borrowing would be done outside of 2.5 debt exclusion. And unfortunately, the way the article was worded, that would not allow that to happen. And we had a discussion that instead of avoiding the need for an amendment on town meeting floor, you know, if the trust wanted to reword that and sort of eliminate some potentially unnecessary conversation. I don't think the townspeople really care one way or another how it's going to be funded, but it's a little bit better that if it's a outside of 2.5. it does also require a ballot vote. So this afternoon, we did get reworded language, and this Article 34 is a new article that was inserted before the original one, and it allows us then to fund this outside of 2.5. So other than that, the articles, the citizens petition is exactly the same for the purchase of the town common at $270,000. Any questions, gentlemen?
So this is essentially our vote on whether or not we're recommending the purchase.
That's correct.
So were we gonna do this with advisory?
They're upstairs.
Advisory is doing their own votes upstairs, so this would be separate from advisory.
Right.
Okay.
Right, so they're doing their own. I think the discussion, especially Brad, would have preferred to do it outside of 2.5. The budget was built around that assumption, and as we discussed Tuesday night, in the past 20 or so years, I believe all but one land purchase done in this manner was debt excluded. So, the way that it was originally worded would be the extreme exception rather than the rule, and this just kind of brings it back in. I think this is better for the trust in potentially eliminating unnecessary dialogue. So.
And just in case there's any confusion, a matter of detail, the original article is still on here. It has not been withdrawn, so as a matter of mechanics, when we get, whatever action is taken on Article 34, whatever town meeting votes, we would just pass over Article 35. There would be no need to discuss that because this is the article that would be on the table.
Right, and that's why 34 was inserted where it is. So whatever action is taken on this article, we will pass over regardless of the vote on Article 35. So Article 35 essentially goes away, but just the mechanics of when they were needed to get the signatures and whatnot, they didn't quite make that portion of it. So it's more, as Don said, it's more mechanics. And you can decide, when you're voting, you can decide what your vote means. If you want to vote that you're voting to approve, or you want to vote to allow the town to consider the article, you can do that as well.
Well, but
No matter how we vote, it still goes to town meeting.
Right. Just
Right.
This is only the selectmen's recommendation.
Right.
This goes to town meeting as is, no matter what.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So, any other questions?
Nope.
Point of order?
Yes.
Do Mr. Frayne and Mr. Keep have to recuse because you live on Main Street and then you have to invoke the rule of necessity? I know it's a formality, because one of the things that was stated at advisory was that people living within a certain distance, their property values were positively impacted. You guys might be within that, and it might be better to do sort of for the formality. We used to have to do that at school committee. And even though you'd have to, you recuse, but then there's not enough of you, and then you have to invoke rule of necessity to come back, but it declares a potential conflict of interest. I don't know if that applies, but it's certainly worth bringing up. I don't want us to run afoul of anything.
I don't feel I have a conflict of interest.
Yeah, I mean, it's for each person to determine whether or not they have a conflict of interest. And
That was worth asking.
Right, so exactly, Don is correct, they have, the
Did
individual
you keep
has.
the same opinion?
I think this has been a community effort. It hasn't been like a half a mile effort. Everybody's pitched in, so I don't feel like I don't think it's gonna improve the value of my house that
Okay, I
much.
just wanted to bring it up in case there were issues that we needed to declare, and then you clearly have a way to work around it, and it's a bit of a formality, but we should certainly look at everything.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay. Will someone entertain a motion to approve Article 34?
So now I have a question.
Okay.
So, I don't know whether it's, so if I'm part of a second, I can still vote no.
Yes, when a selectman seconds a motion, it's really, or anyway, the second
Just
is
to bring it to a
is to
vote.
bring it to a discussion and a vote. That's right.
I'll move it.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second?
Okay. Yeah, I think it's important, you know, this is something that the towns needs to decide on, so I think it's important that we obviously have this, and even though we vote no, but I think it's important to have it on there. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those in favor against signify by saying nay.
I'm gonna say nay, and I just wanna make a quick statement if I can. I am blown away by the effort that's gone into developing this piece of property. I see Bob Romer out there, his silhouette, I mean, I feel like he's part of it almost. I've seen him so much out there. I've participated in activities myself. My children have been out there. They both have medals from the Winterfest of a couple weeks ago. So I'm incredibly, appreciative of all the effort. For me, right now, the reason I'm voting no is because of the contamination that was there. And I would rather see the town buying this after a few years or some time of stability in terms of plumes, any type of contamination. Is it contained? Is it stable? Is it static? Or is there more movement? So for me, it's not a financial issue. I have no opposition to buying the parcel. I just have a concern about liability. Once we do buy it, the town is on the hook for all tort liability, which could be enormous. And I would just rather see a little evidence of stability from the monitoring side, which I know is going to be ongoing.
Mr. Schnitzel?
Yes, Bert Schnitzler, Treasurer of Conservation Trust, resident. You did see the email that we sent out today where we are trying to get various legal opinions, written legal opinions on the...
I have to say, I just gave Gary Perwack an email because I was out all day, but
Okay.
I could not open up my
Okay, we did send out
My
one.
Gmail account.
We have talked to various officers, and we haven't gotten a formal opinion yet, but we are getting an opinion on that. I would respectfully ask you to abstain from this vote as opposed to voting against it until you've at least read the email.
Yeah, the Conservation Trust is a nonprofit, right? So Chapter 23185K, I don't know if you have any familiarity with that. It caps liability
Right.
on nonprofits, essentially makes them judgment proof. So that's another reason for me why I think the entity that owns it now, for me, is like the right entity.
I would just ask you to at least read the email before you do your vote.
I mean,
But, yeah, it's up to you.
yeah, I think I'll stick where I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've taken that vote, it's 2-1.
Well, you haven't actually had the vote yet, have you?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I beg your pardon, yes, you did.
Okay, so it sticks, so it's 2-1 in favor of recommending. We will not take any action tonight on Article 35, or should we disapprove it?
I would suggest taking action at the night of town meeting, because then you'll know exactly what you're dealing with as far as the bids. So you could, the selectmen always meet about half an hour.
No, 35.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
35 is the old one. So either should we take no action, or we
I would
should...
suggest no action.
Okay, that's fine. So I'll entertain a motion.
I'm sorry. Am I recording it as that?
You're recording it as the selectmen are not taking any action on Article
Do we
35.
need to vote no action?
Maybe not.
That wouldn't hurt to vote.
Yeah, all right, so I'll take a motion for reasons that Article 34 essentially replaces 35. Then I'll take a motion to take no action on 35.
I'll move that.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it, no
Only in
action.
government do we have to vote to
I
do
tell you,
that.
it's, there you go. Government at work at its best. All right, that's fine, so, and we've already taken care of 36 and 37. So that ends that. We have a statement. I made a slight revision to the statement. If you recall, gentlemen, in the previous statement, there was in the third paragraph, I indicated that last year, the non-educational portion of the budget growth was limited to 0.8%. And I didn't have a figure for FY18. I did get an email from Mr. Troop from Advisory this afternoon indicating that the FY18 non-educational portion of the budget increased only 0.6%, which is a nice number because it's even less than last year. It works out to like $139,000 out of a $22 million budget. So that was the only thing I changed. Otherwise, everything else in the statement was exactly the same. So I didn't know if you gentlemen had any questions or comments on the Selectmen statement.
I don't.
Yeah, so the 6%, is that
0.6%.
0.6%, is that if everything passes, or that's everything passes in the warrant? Or is that all the spending?
Yes, that's the budget is structured right now.
Right, as the budget is structured now, assuming everything passes.
Including the common, which is.
This is just the operating,
Right, the
Okay.
operating. operating
not the,
budget.
not the or.
Right, the operating budget.
And no disrespect to Mr. Troop, do you agree with that, Anachka, 0.6?
Yes. Yeah.
Great.
And so this is the increase in non-school spending
Right.
over the same number last year?
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, yeah, it was relatively flat.
Yeah. So, I mean, the overall budget, I think, is up by 2.66% or something like that. But that takes into account the increase for the school. But our slice of the budget, our operating budget is only up 0.6%. And I said, year over year, I think his number was like $139,000, which is pretty good. Nice seeing you.
Sorry, we jumped in.
Oh, you can stay. You can
Thanks for coming, Doug.
I hear things are good.
All right. So, if there are no further questions, I'll take a motion to approve the Board of Selectmen statement.
I'll move that.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And then I think the only other thing is to vote to close and execute the warrant in its entirety, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I think we've approved everything, we've approved the statement, we've done our votes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think there's anything else we need to do, so I'll take a motion to close and execute the annual town meeting warrant for the annual town meeting that's being held on Monday, May 1st, 2017.
And I'll move that.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
So you guys will sign the sheets.
Don't speak.
Well, am I tired when we're touching the road?
So that's one sheet you're gonna sign.
Okay.
You want to your idea?
I'm sorry?
You want your idea, and the first one?
That's it.
Great.
I'll make those corrections and we'll be ready to go. Dance the jig.
I got game.
Well,
I don't know.
I don't just do everything. That's just separate.
I don't think so. I mean, I'm not sure what they're doing. I mean,
Well, I mean, they don't, it's there, it's a separate meeting from us, so.
yeah, so I mean,
I mean,
we're done.
You're
So-
good, we're adjourned. Just
so-
take a motion.
So I mean, if there's anything else that's going on.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye? Now it's-
Now it's real. Michelle, my former self.